the HPD Criminal Intelligence Division, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection Officer Hernandez during a Port of Houston dock sweep and gate operation with the assistance of HPD's Auto Theft Division. An undercover operation took place involving a couple of suspects. After introductions were made and several items were purchased by the auto theft investigators, the CID detective involved in this case became aware that Pasadena PD was also looking into the same suspects, who were in turn arrested later that day. CID detectives, which is our Criminal Intelligence Division, conducted a criminal link analysis of these individuals and their unknown associates who were primarily involved in property crimes. Analysis revealed that most of the individuals, upon conviction, were receiving lesser sentences because of these property crimes than criminals that were involved in such things as narcotics trafficking. Analysis also revealed that certain communication methodology was utilized in order to facilitate a greater profit margin for this enterprise. Our CID detectives presented their findings to the DA's office and showed that this was not an organized crime ring in its traditional sense, but it was namely criminals that were working in groups of 10. They were interchanging groups based on their job skills and the geographical locations of targeted property. Future criminal endeavors and stolen merchandise were communicated by word of mouth to their colleagues. Reviews of past sentencing demonstrated that these individuals on average were receiving 9 months of time but would only serve about half of that amount. However, enhancement of the charge to engaging in organized criminal activity for these individuals now would subject them to a 10 to 15-year prison sentence. Around the same time that our CID in Pasadena and Auto Theft Division were working with Homeland Security on these suspects, HPD's Burglary and Theft Division, in which I'm the captain over, was investigating a large theft that involved musical equipment for Texas country singer Zane Williams. When recovering his property, they discovered an entire inventory of motorcycle apparel and accessories at this location. This was basically a mom and pop business that had lost their entire inventory. Through zealous investigation, our burglary and theft detective began to suspect a large criminal enterprise that were involved in targeting big ticket items, usually transported via large trailers, in which the trailer and all of its contents were stolen. Harris County Assistant District Attorney Kobe Leslie very astutely recognized that detectives from different agencies and different divisions within HPD were looking at the same group of people. The collaboration was born at this time, and it was vital as an operational plan was developed to target this enterprise, one that was not tied to any specific jurisdictional boundary. Detectives from HPD's Criminal Intelligence Division, Burglary and Theft Division, and ADA Leslie developed a working group to include Homeland Security Investigations, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, HPD's Auto Theft Division, Narcotics Division, Eastside Patrol Division's Tactical Unit, and HPD Northeast Division's Hotspot Unit. Also, some outside agencies involved in this investigation were the Pasadena Police Department, the Baytown Police Department, and the Department of Public Safety. During the course of this operation, several interagency coordination meetings were conducted, and information and resources from each division and each agency were utilized. To date, this coordinated effort has resulted in the arrest of over 130 individuals, with approximately 200 charges filed through the Harris County DA's office. The Houston Police Department is responsible for the arrest of at least 80 of these individuals, with additional arrests coming from our law enforcement partners. The majority of these individuals have been charged with engaging in organized criminal activity. Other charges include aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault, felony theft, and retaliation. And to date, the amount of property recovered is estimated to be upwards of $2 million. In the course of the past year, this collaborative effort, through cooperation, communication, flexibility, and a focused work ethic, has led to the dismantling of this criminal enterprise. Although we are confident that we have delivered a detrimental blow to this group, we will continue to stay the course in an effort to arrest and charge additional individuals perpetrating these types of crimes. At this time, I'm going to ask Lieutenant Michael Osena, who was over the operation, to answer any questions you may have, and also Dan Rasmussen with Homeland Security.
Can you be more specific about the merchandise that they were stealing?
You name it, they were stealing everything. It'd be cargo trailers full of lawn equipment, motorcycle equipment, vehicles, SUVs or four-wheelers, quad runners, whatever they could get their hands on, they were stealing. Tractors, whatever was on a trailer, they would steal.
And where was this happening at?
All over Houston and the surrounding areas, from LaPorte, Baytown, Conroe, Houston, Katy. That's why it took so long for us to get the pattern, because it wasn't just occurring here in Houston, it was occurring in other agencies, areas of jurisdiction. So once we started piecing things together, we developed a working group and started providing information to one another, saying these are the same crooks we've been looking at also.
How did they have access to this traders?
They called it shopping. They would drive around all over the greater Houston area and look for a vehicle with a trailer on it, and it would be a covered trailer or just a lowboy trailer with equipment on it they want. They'd sit on it and see if anybody was going to come to it. If somebody was going inside to eat, they'd go and steal it, the vehicle and the trailer's contents.
They just steal the entire trailer.
They steal the vehicle and the trailer and its contents. They didn't care about the vehicles. They wanted the contents in the trailer.
Were they privately owned trailers? Or
Yes. Yeah, no, most of them were privately owned trailers.
And was there one main person who was kind of the center of this crime ring? I think
No, they were a group of friends and acquaintances that lived in a particular portion of the city, and they knew each other from growing up together or being friends.
And what part of the city was it?
Most of the suspects we identified were from the east side of Houston.
And this situation surrounding Zane Williams, was this what happened in 2015, in July?
Yes.
Last summer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I get you to get closer to the microphone?
I can't. I'm sorry about
Can
that.
you elaborate on that situation and how it came, I mean, just because that's interesting, and that's a story I remember and we did, and.
Basically, he was coming into Houston to do a show on the south side of Houston. They stopped at a restaurant to get a bite to eat, and when they were inside eating, 3 or 4 individuals broke into their van and stole their equipment, and along with the trailers.
Is that the one biggest hit, or was there one biggest hit you can?
That was a big hit, but that got our division involved. One of our detectives was involved in that case and led us to a house or location where other property was being stored.
Is there any way people can recover this merchandise?
A lot of the property that we have recovered, for instance, the family that lost their merchandise, their motorcycle merchandise, that's already been recovered and returned to them.
Do you know the name of their business? Are they still operating?
I do not know. They were a couple out of California. What they did is they traveled the country with their merchandise and went to motorcycle rallies and sold it there.
But they happened in Houston, so all that.
Yes,
happened in
yes,
Houston, right?
theirs happened in the southwest side of Houston.
Is there anyone who still might be watching this and think like, wait a second, this sounds familiar, my stuff was stolen, or do you think you have most of it?
We have a lot of it, but we are certain that it's probably still occurring. We haven't arrested every single one of them. We just put a great big dent in their organization.
What was the name of the singer?
Zane Williams?
And he got his stuff back?
Yes, ma'am.
Lieutenant, what were they doing with the vehicles? Were they selling them, chopping them up, or shipping them?
Dumping them. Dumping them. They just wanted the contents of the trailer.
And what time period, how long has this been going on? You think they've been in operation?
Since at least last April. 15.
So this 130 people knew each other somehow? Is that what?
For the most part, the inner workings of it were good friends, but they would bring their other friends who were, not every one of them knew each other. They were different groups, but those groups would intermingle once they got to know each other. And they would do it based on what they were stealing
Okay.
and who had a buyer to purchase whatever's being stolen.
So once they had the merchandise, how did they sell it? What did they do?
Word of mouth. Word of mouth, and oftentimes they had a buyer before they would steal the property.
Did they go to pawn shops as well?
No, this was word of mouth, big ticket items.
Is there a monetary value attached to those things they're stolen? How much?
Right now, we're real close to over $2 million, totaling everything up. And that's just what we recovered.
And
It was, I don't want to elaborate into the investigative details because some of this stuff is still ongoing, and some of the things that we learned we're using to follow the approach we're going
That was
after.
more referencing the fact that they were not set up like an organizational hierarchy so much. It was more little individual hubs.
Have you ever seen anything like this complex, like, what was your takeaway from this?
I haven't seen it this vast where so many people were involved, and just by word of mouth. It wasn't like a mafia or anything like that. It was just word of mouth. Hey, I've got this. Come help me steal it.
Can you elaborate, can you give us the exact charges that these people,
It's ranging from predominantly most of them are being charged with engaging in organized crime.
engaging in organized crime?
Yes, sir. There's been several arrested for aggravated robbery. There's been some arrested for aggravated assault, some narcotics charges. It's a litany of charges that just work through it, but the vast majority of them are engaging in organized crime.
This chart over here, what is this, the people on this? So you said there was, I believe,
Not everybody's picture's on here.
100.
We have 130, but not everybody's pictures, because some of the pictures we weren't able to release due to the fact
Still actively.
they're
in.
still active with those investigations.
And is there any hierarchy with that chart, or is it just all just
Just random depictions of the people that have been arrested.
Do you have the name, was there a ringleader, was there a boss?
Not really. There was no in particular person saying, you're the boss, you're the head honcho. It was just a conglomeration of friends that brought in other friends and who brought in other friends to do this.
One more time, if you were to summarize what this organized group was doing on a regular basis, in a couple of sentences, what were they doing?
Stealing anything and everything they could get their hands on.
Large property, large property, big ticket items.
Did they store it somewhere, like,
They,
is there a location
they
where-
stored it at different friends' residences,
Houses?
or in some instances out in family members' property.
What can you tell us about what these people did? Did they have regular jobs?
Their job was to steal.
So that's all they did?
Their job was to steal.
And we have mothers and fathers in the group.
You name it. Their job, they woke up in the morning, and when they got dressed, they were going to go, they went shopping. They'd get in their vehicle and drive around the surrounding counties looking for something to steal.
Some of them, were they family members?
Some of them are family members, yes, ma'am.
Like, did they have a family? Like, did their family know what they were doing, or they thought they were going to work?
Well, in some instances, it was brothers and brothers stealing.
So they were all.
Yeah, everything, they knew what they were doing.
Did they have a name, or did they call themselves something?
No names. They just called it friends. Let's go steal.
How quickly were they able to get this stuff? You said they were pretty organized. Was it just a matter of seconds that they could steal?
They could be in and out of a car like that, and then all the content's gone, trailer and all.
Did they dump the trailers at the same location, pretty much?
Once they unloaded it, they would get rid of the trailer in the vehicle. Sometimes they would sell the trailers, but they did not want the vehicles very often.
Was it the same location, like, were they going to?
Different areas, different areas.
And the HPD arrested about 80 people out of 130?
So far, yes, ma'am.
And was that done, if there was kind of a normal timeline, after the stuff was dumped, after it was stolen?
It was after the theft occurred, and we could build our case against the individuals. And then we'd pick off 3 here, 2 here. Every week we're getting 1 or 2.
And so the 80 was
From
from
it-
summer?
Yes, ma'am.
2015
From last summer,
now?
yes.
I'm sorry, I thought you said 130 people
Yes, ma'am.
were arrested?
That includes neighboring agencies.
So 80 here, well, like. 80.
Approximately 80 with
Well,
HPD and
In the-
50.
The total is going to be surrounding counties and surrounding agencies.
Okay, so that's the 130.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
And then the 80 is HPD.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
How challenging it was for you guys because it was so widespread?
It's very challenging. The hard part was linking them together. Once the initial link was brought to our attention by the DA's office, saying, you might want to talk to these other people because this looks like it's going to be linked. And once that occurred, it became a lot easier than the initial beginnings.
What do you think about this 130 people think they can just casually hang out with their friends and steal stuff? And
think it's wrong. Think they're gonna be paying the price for their crimes.
The
And if they-
message,
The message is don't steal, don't take other people's belongings. If you do, you're gonna go to jail and eventually go to the penitentiary.
So approximately 130 people arrested, you're looking at how many cases, different crimes did they commit? Hundreds?
Oh, easily, yes, yes.
Then what's Homeland's role in it?
Homeland Security Investigations runs the Border Enforcement Security Task Force, and we're stationed in LaPorte. And Houston Police Department, CBP, HSI, DPS, and the Coast Guard all are co-located under one roof. So basically, we have a task force out there, and we take all of the different capabilities and authorities and bring them together. That's what happened in this case, too.
Is everybody working together?
Yes, sir.
Were they shipping some of this stuff out of the country or bringing stuff, like, I guess bringing drugs in? I mean, was there stuff going on at the port as well?
Not out of the port. We do have indications that some stuff was going overseas to Mexico. However, that stuff's still ongoing.
Cars or what?
Cars and stolen stuff.
Cars to Mexico, okay.
Yes.
How did they know what was inside the trailer? Were they doing their research in terms of who was driving this particular trailer or what? Or was it just, oh, I see this trailer on the street, let me take it, and I got lucky?
Pretty much they did get lucky. In many instances, they would look for a trailer, they would look at particular characteristics of a trailer. I'm sorry. They would look for different characteristics of a trailer on how it looked, and then make their determination that way. They could tell if a trailer was loaded. They may not know what was inside it, but they could tell it was loaded. That's the ones they wanted, because they knew there was merchandise or equipment or something in there.
And you just grab it and figure out what the stuff was?
That's right. Oftentimes, they didn't know exactly what was in there. They just knew it was loaded, and then when they got it, like the motorcycle equipment, they had no idea what was in there. They just knew it was loaded, and they discovered they didn't have a buyer for it at that particular time, and it was housed at the same place they brought the musicians' equipment to. And that's how we recovered all that merchandise for those people.
Any other questions? Where was the house where you recovered the musicians?
It was on the east side of Houston.
and are we talking about like, all kinds of different trailers, like transport trailers, mobile homes?
No, mostly
campers?
covered trailers that you carry equipment in, or lowboy trailers that had tractors, four-wheelers, quad runners, that kind of stuff.
Was he targeting any tractor trailers?
Not that we're aware of, not in any of our investigations.
Would they hit at night? I mean, or is it any time? Doesn't
You
matter?
name it.
You said things were going to Mexico. How are they getting stuff to Mexico?
They would transport it down via the land border and just cross it.
And is everybody has everybody been arrested, or do you still have outstanding?
We still have some ongoing investigations at this time.
How many people are you still looking for?
That I couldn't tell you offhand. There's more than one.
Okay. Still people out there?
Yes.
Okay. And the people who've been arrested, are they all in jail, or have they bonded out?
Some have gone to prison already, and some are still awaiting trial.
Okay. And of those going to prison, how many? Yeah.
I couldn't tell you offhand. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I can't remember.
Okay.
I see 2 women. Was it just 2 women in total, or there were more women?
There's 2 women at this time that have been arrested.
Within the 130?
Yes.
And what were their roles?
Facilitating the either helping drive to the location where the vehicles were going to be stolen, or facilitating housing stolen property.
And you said it was like four-wheelers, was it also some equipment? What was in the trucks usually?
Lawn equipment. It could be a four-wheeler. It could be any kind of merchandise, any kind of apparel, whatever they could get their hands on. They got their hands on.
And these were like big trucks, they were just stealing them?
One of these bigger trailers, 16, 18, 20-foot trailers that could be pulled behind a vehicle.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.